Hello everyone, welcome to Barca News. It is March 13th, 2025, and the new judge in the Negreira case has subpoenaed both Sandro Rosell and Bartomeu in order to testify in regards to the Negreira case. Also, Inigo Martinez has extended his contract until 2026. And finally, La Liga, Royal Spanish Football Federation, Barcelona, and Osasuna cannot seem to agree on a date for the postponed match. We have a lot to discuss, so let's begin. Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. My name is Mo, and we'll begin this video with the news that the new judge in the Negreira case has subpoenaed both Sandro Rosell and Josep Maria Bartomeu in order to testify in the Negreira investigation. Now, as you know by now, Barcelona are currently being investigated for sports corruption for hiring the former referee Jose Maria Enriquez Negreira, something that all the clubs in La Liga do. All clubs hire former referees as consultants. However, the difference is that while Barcelona was hiring Negreira, he was also one of the many vice presidents of the CTA, something that La Liga knew all throughout the years. Something that was not a secret because Barcelona, paid him on the books. He filed taxes. Everybody knew about this. But of course, it wasn't until 2 years ago that all of a sudden La Liga decided to open an investigation into Barcelona to see whether, Barcelona was influencing the competition or bribing referees through Negreira, since he was a consultant for the club. And at the same time, one of the many vice presidents of the CTA, which, as we know by now, he had absolutely no power in the CTA. It was in an honorary role where he didn't even get paid. Now, this investigation have, of course, led to nothing. It's been 2 years of this investigation. It has uncovered zero evidence because there was absolutely nothing going on. Simply, Barcelona were much more superior to Real Madrid because we have Pep Guardiola, Tito Villanova, etc. But of course, Madridistas, as always, they cannot fathom or accept that Barcelona were superior to them. So, of course, they have to find excuses. And what's the excuse as always? The referees. It's not the first time. We had the Biarato back in, I think, 2012, where also the Madrid press were accusing Barcelona being favored by the refs. There was also the doping accusations. This is just what Madrid does, right? They cannot accept that they were inferior, so they have to find excuses. Now, the Negreira case does have a new judge because the former judge retired, and this new judge has subpoenaed both Sandro Rosell and Josep Maria Bartomeu because they were both presidents during the years that Barcelona had hired Jose Maria Enriquez Negreira, and they are set to testify in June. So it's going to be very interesting to see what the two former presidents will say in regards to the hiring of, well, not even Negreira, of his companies. So, of course, I will be covering that testimony, and I will be making videos, but again, that's not until June. But either way, make sure to subscribe and hit that bell notification so you know when I post my videos. Now, speaking of La Liga, the Royal Spanish Football Federation, all these clowns that act as independent organizations, but we all know which side they veer towards. There doesn't seem to be an agreement in regards to the Barcelona and Osasuna match. Now, as we know, both clubs were set to play each other this past weekend. Unfortunately, the first team doctors, Dr. Carlos Miñarro Garcia, passed away, so the match had to be postponed. So far, no agreement has been reached on when this match will be played. Seems that both La Liga and the Royal Spanish Football Federation are pushing for March 27th. But of course, Barcelona are not agreeing. And why? Because 3 days later, there is a match against Girona, which would have to be pushed from 4 p.m. till 9 p.m. because apparently that's enough time for the players to recover, an extra 5 hours. Also, 3 days after that, it would be the second leg of the Copa del Rey against Atletico de Madrid. And more importantly, this would happen right after the FIFA international break. And yes, there is another freaking FIFA international break. Now, Brazil is set to play against Argentina on March 26th. And they want to put the Osasuna match on the 27th. So there's no way Coutinho would be able to travel all the way back from Brazil, recover, and play. Impossible. Ronald Araujo has a match with Uruguay on March 25th. 2 days before this proposed date. Again, not enough time for him to travel back and recover. So therefore, Barcelona have said absolutely no to the March 27th, and instead they're pushing for the May 21st date. Now, Osasuna are not okay with that date because it's after La Liga ends, and their players might be tired, blah blah blah. So far there is no agreement. Now, Barcelona's progress in the Champions League will influence this, because if Barcelona fail to advance to the semifinals of the Champions League, then the match could be scheduled on April 29th or April 30th or May 6th or May 7th, around that time. So we'll see when this match will be scheduled to, but just know that so far there is no agreement. Now, speaking of Dr. Carlos Miñarro, may he rest in peace, check out this really cool moment during Barbastro's match. Barbastro, who Barcelona faced against during Copa del Rey. They played against Real Sociedad C, and they decided to honor the memory of Dr. Miñarro. And you might wonder, well, why would they honor his memory? He wasn't their doctor. And it's, of course, because what he did during that Copa del Rey match, which Barcelona played against Barbastro back in January 4th. There was a very strong collision between Inigo Martinez and Barbastro's player Jaime Ara. It was a really heavy blow where the brunt of it was absorbed by Jaime Ara. He had a really heavy blow to his head. In fact, he lost consciousness, and Dr. Miñarro was the one who rushed to his rescue. He stabilized him, and he properly attended to him until he was able to be transported to the hospital by the ambulance. And because of this great gesture of Dr. Miñarro, who again had no obligation to do that. He is Barcelona's doctor, but yet he did it for Barbastro's players. So in honor of that, Barbastro decided to honor his memory during their match against Real Sociedad C. And what a beautiful moment. So thank you to Barbastro for being amazing and honoring such an amazing life. Now, speaking of Inigo Martinez, since we did mention his name, because he was part of that incident, the best defender has extended his contract until 2026. Now, Inigo's contract expired at the end of the season. Of course, he did have a clause that would allow him to extend his contract with Barcelona if he played at least 45 minutes of 60% of all matches that Barcelona played in during the season. But despite having that option that he could exercise to extend his contract, Barcelona let him know. They're like, look, we're going to renew you either way, whether you meet that clause or not, because you're absolutely amazing. You're an important player of the squad. You're a cornerstone of Hansi Flick's project. So, of course, Barcelona did extend the contract of the player until 2026. The only thing missing was the approval of La Liga, because Barcelona had ran out of financial fair play due to the renewals of other players like Pedri, Gabi, etc. But once Barcelona sold Vitor Roque, they cleared more space on their financial fair play. La Liga approved the contract renewal. And finally, Barcelona announced it today officially. So Inigo will be staying with Barcelona until the summer of 2026. And that is great news, because Inigo Martinez has been absolutely a key player for Hansi Flick, a cornerstone of Barca's defense, an absolute beast when it comes to defending, and also an absolute leader when it comes to organizing the defensive line. And it's thanks to him that Flick has been able to implement his defensive vision, including the offside trap, something that's incredibly difficult to execute because there's so many moving parts, so many players involved, but yet Flick has been able to do that thanks to Inigo, thanks to his leadership and his experience. So I'm very happy that Inigo will be staying with Barcelona. Now, speaking of La Liga approving Inigo Martinez's contract, it's reported that Barcelona have been able to register all of their players until the end of their contracts. That's thanks to A, reaching the 1-to-1 rule after selling rights to the VIP seats at the new spot of Camp Nou, and B, the sale of Vitor Roque to Palmeiras for 25.5 million euros, the sale of Unai Hernandez to Saudi for 5 million, and there's, of course, Nico Gonzalez, who moved to Manchester City, and Barcelona, of course, got a percentage of that because they still owned rights in the player. And all of this has allowed Barcelona to register all of their players until the end of the contract. So what does that mean? That means that come this summer, we're not going to have any fiascos where some player might not be registered. You know, that's happened a lot in these past few years. Dani Olmo had to miss 2 fixtures because he wasn't registered. Inigo Martinez came very close to not being registered this season. Jules Koundé, he missed, I think, 2 or 3 fixtures too when we first signed him because we couldn't register him on time. Anyways, that's not going to happen next season. All the players on the squad have been registered until the end of the season, and that's, of course, great news. Anyways, that is all the news for this video. We'll be uploading another video shortly, so stay tuned to the channel. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, drop a comment, and as always, Visca Barça.